control. But if there's an Elish Norn in play, the Karn doesn't actually matter that much.
Okay. All right, so this matchup, we should be getting this started momentarily. We're just moving them over to the camera. Again, Game 3 here between Ryan Rivera playing, I guess, Esper Control, whatever you want to call it, blue-white, splashing black for a touch of some stuff, against a Tempered Steel list that looks fairly straightforward. I mean, yeah, pretty straightforward Tempered Steel list. So I guess they're going through their sideboards here. Jayce, I guess is his name, JC, on your left-hand side. He is the one playing Tempered Steel, and then the Esper deck is on the right-hand side.
Actually, I consulted my imagination, and I believe his name is Jayce.
It is Jayce?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just what my imagination says.
I guessed, but I didn't want to be presumptuous.
We have seen a lot of Tempered Steel out in the room, and it's been under the lights more than once. I think one of the things that people are moving to with this, when you're dealing with a deck like, say, Delver, one way to try to beat Delver is to just beat down faster.
Yeah, I think that Tempered Steel deck, I don't know, I mean, I understand what happened in the elimination rounds of Worlds. That deck is clearly quite good, as is denoted by the fact that so many of those decks were in the top 8, and for it to just fall off the radar because the elimination rounds happen to not go well, I think is pretty silly. And against these blue-white Tempo-ish decks, like, you're trying to fight Tempered Steel with like Vapor Snags and stuff, like, get out of here. There's no way that's getting the job done. So I think that's a pretty reasonable metagame call given how big the blue-white Delver decks are. And the blue-white Delver decks also just don't have like aces in their sideboard for Tempered Steel. They don't have access to the Creeping Corrosions and the Shatters of the world. They're just trying to play like random 1-for-1 removal spells, and that's just not getting the job done.
I mean, I know in playing with trying to figure out ways to change over losing games, it's hard. It's hard. And here we have Signal Pest from Jayce or JC Morrison. Probably JC, but Jayce sounds better. Ryan Rivera. And we see a Dark Slick Shore, not Dark Slick, pardon me, a Drowned Catacomb. Moorland Haunt, 2 mana, and a Shrine.
Traditionally very good against control decks.
Very much so.
Especially ones with Day of Judgment. You can kind of just sit back on it and wait. If the rest of your draw can induce a Day of Judgment, then you have Shrine to follow up.
Cards that are useful here against Shrine. The access to Ratchet Bomb could be useful if Ryan gets it out before the Shrine goes boom. Just because you'd be able to not have to cast mana to deal with all of the tokens.
Yep.
Shrine ticks up.
We have a Glenhawk Idol. I think the Shrine's a mandatory, so we gotta get a counter on that.
Shrine is mandatory.
Also, that's another way to deal with a Shrine, is just your opponent never making their 3rd land drop.
Shrine does require 3 mana to get going. 3rd mana from Ryan Rivera. I think we just saw a 3rd mana from Jayce Morrison.
Yep. So the Shrine should be up to 3 counters now, I believe. We're going to pause real quick here while I believe Adrian's going to try to contact the judge here and fix this. It tries to resolve the Glenhawk Idol.
Okay, they're just checking the Shrine to make sure it's at the right.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, that's incorrect. That's on the right. It's on the right amount. The artifact versus white spell versus color artifact stuff is often a tripping point for me, versus artifacts that have white mana in their activation.
I mean, this is even after Mirrodin, where the artifacts were actually really hard to tell apart. White and artifact back then, that was a pain.
Yeah. So we're trying to resolve this Glenhawk Idol here, and Ryan sort of debating what he wants to do. He's going to let it go.
Back comes the Signal Pest. Glint Hawk in play. New Signal Pest. Ryan's in actually pretty good shape here. He's got counter spells. He's got mana. He's got removal.
Yep.
Do we see any mass removal? Dissipate on the way back down for the Signal Pest.
Yep.
That stops a potential lot of damage with the Shrine, but on the table it stops +2/+0 on the 2 Glint Hawks. One idle, one real.
It's also probably an indicator from Jayce's perspective that Ryan either doesn't have Day of Judgment or he's missing a second white source, because there's no way to rationalize that dissipate unless he actually can't muster a Day of Judgment.
Now he has access, Ryan, to Mana Leak plus Doomblade, and then he has a mana for a Gideon that's in his hand. He can cast Gideon next turn. 2 mana. Another Glinthawk idol. I would stop this with a Mana Leak, no problem, no questions.
Yep.
If you signed up for $10 draft number 4, please report to the side event stage.
Mana Leak.
$10 draft number 4.
And he casts another Glinthawk. I think this one's going to stick. And I would be unsurprised to see a Doomblade hit out this Glinthawk idol. There it is. Goodbye.
Oh.
2 damage for Ryan Rivera, down to 18. And he can, like, Gideon here. And actually, Gideon murder the Glinthawk and still have a Gideon live.
Yeah, the Shrine is going to be a sticking point, though.
But the Shrine's not going to be a sticking point yet. If he sits back and lets the Gideon just be draw the attack, the Gideon will die pretty quickly before it gets to do much work.
Yeah.
But killing the Glinthawk right now, I think, would be very reasonable. I can't see all of his hand, so that would change things potentially. But I see Plains, I see Gideon, I see Island.
I mean, Gideon +2 doesn't really get him anywhere, since, you know, if Jayce has a land, then he gets to go attack you, or an artifact even, a 1-mana artifact, he gets to go attack you for 5, or 4, 5 if he wants to get the Nexus in, and still pass with Shrine up. So that's not really a path that gets Ryan very far. I do believe that if he casts Gideon, he's going to want a -2, but...
Murder the Glinthawk, please.
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
I'm down with that play.
I like seeing plays like that. 5 tokens. Gideon not long for this world, one way or the other.
I think Jayce actually is out of... Is he out of cards? That looks like he was empty-handed on that draw.
1 card after his draw phase.
Yeah.
He
Looks
was
like all Ryan really needs to do is weather the storm of the Shrine.
Vault Scourge.
That's a big draw right there, because it means the Glinthawk gets to get on and he gets to leave up mana for a Shrine.
Oh, that... No, don't activate that Inky. I mean, you can. There you go. Undo that. Undo.
Yeah.
Control Z. In for 2. He sees the play you're talking about, which is to hold back so that he can activate and make a bunch of tokens at the end of the turn.
Right. Gets Gideon off the table, and he still has to duck Day of Judgment, because he's basically... He has no follow-up if his current board is swept away, but it's at least a path to victory if Ryan does not have Day of Judgment.
I think it's
or Elesh Norn 2 locks it up.
Yeah, I think it's land Doomblade in Ryan Rivera's hand.
So he's going to induce the attack. He actually doesn't even have to blow up the Shrine yet, because he still actually can kill.
Yep. The Shrine activation is was an insurance policy against Day of Judgment.
Right.
And we can have activation of Inkmoth Nexus come on in, and it's not going to actually make it happen because of that Doomblade, but let's see what happens. Wow.
Is that a Chimeric Mass?
That is a Chimeric Mass. 2 of those in his main deck. Chimeric Mass, for those of you who don't know, is a X casting cost artifact where for 1 mana you can activate it and it becomes a XX. So in this case for the game it'll be a 2/2. Inkmoth Nexus is created. And do you think that he's going to Doomblade the Glinthawk idol or the Inkmoth Nexus?
I think that you probably... I don't know. Both of them seem real... Both seem not attractive targets. I guess since you can't keep Gideon alive anyway, and over the next turn, and Day of Judgment doesn't get you out of either of them, you might as well at least kill the one that's dealing damage to you. You're not really in risk of getting infected out, so.
Okay, is that another land?
Yep.
2 mana. Oh, untap. Running the bluffs, or did he draw something? 2 mana. Ratchet Bomb, maybe. Think twice. That was a good draw. It's a spell of some kind. Timely reinforcements?
I think that's a White Sun Zenith.
Must attack Gideon.
Gideon White Sun Zenith is another 2 great tastes that he's created together, yeah. It's a nice little combo.
7 counters on the shrine. Activates Inkmoth. Activates Chimeric Idol. In they come.
Standard open players, that is time in the round. Active player, finish your turn. You have 5 turns to finish your match. Once again, players in the standard open, that is time in the round.
I think I let Gideon die here rather than cat for 2. I think you wait till next turn and get more cats out just to fight against the shrine. Well, he's going to go cat for 2. It's going to mean that Gideon stays as a 2. He's going to trade a 2/2 for a Chimeric Idol, or pardon me, Chimeric Mass, and he'll have 1 cat.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of, it's buying him a lot of time, I think, because he gets, you know, whatever it is, some more fogs out of Gideon. I mean, basically what he needs to do is induce Jayce to use the shrine, have Day of Judgment, and then take the game over with his card advantage.
It's 1 cat and a Gideon versus Inkmoth Nexus, Shrine for 7, not yet been blown, and a Vault Scourge.
Because right now, I mean, the Gideon's got this locked up. Jayce is just sort of treading water for the time being.
Another Vault Scourge.
That's a big deal, because now it means that you're pushing 3 points on Gideon, and it's only +2ing. But
that's still a lot of time for Gideon.
Yeah, this is a lot of time for Ryan to cobble something together. He just needs to draw a big spell.
And he says attack Gideon.
Yep.
There's no reason not to attack with your cat here. There aren't any hasty creatures from JC. JC Morrison has Moorland Haunt in his deck. Only 4 Seachrome Coasts and 4 Mox Opals to activate it. Income 3 in the air.
Yep.
Jayce is down to 1. If it's a land, lay it, JC. Glint Hawk. What's being returned?
Nothing, it got leaked.
Okay, leak.
So
Thank
now
you.
it appears both players are empty-handed.
Think Twice from Ryan Rivera. And then the draw phase. Oh, up from the mandatory up from Glint Hawk. Attack Gideon.
What land is that?
On the far right?
Yeah.
I believe it's a new print Ghost Quarter.
Which is actually a pretty big draw here, because now we're back in the position where he could in theory Ghost Quarter the Nexus, and now JC is again in a spot where he's only dealing 2 to Gideon's +2, which is going to give Ryan a ton of time.
There's a Mox Opal. Mox Opal means he has access to Moorland Haunt.
Which is also huge. So that's a big draw.
In they come, 3 in the air. Ghost quarter on Inky, perhaps. Is it Ghost quarter on Moorland Haunt? He responds.
I mean, he might not have a choice. Like, he's going to lose his Gideon anyway in the next turn, and Moorland Haunt in the long term is just representing a million dudes and a million damage. So
out comes a Spirit, and then away goes the Moorland Haunt. Fetches out a Plains, only basic he has in his deck, and a second Ghost Quarter for 2 Ghost Quarters to go away. Yeah. JC gets Plains.
So this is probably an argument for using the
Plains.
This probably is an argument for having used the Ghost Quarter in response to the Opal, so he could have cut off at least 1 token. And again, that's a big token because now it means Gideon is back to the spot where it's going to die next turn as opposed to allowing Ryan to keep his head above water.
Two to the Gideon makes it become a 1. Land and something in Ryan Rivera's hand. Regarding triggers, the rules enforcement for this event is using the enforcement where you are required to let the opponent know. So, retro triggering, which I believe might be the way it's going to stick, given how the rules changes were potentially rescinded.
Yeah.
So, I'm down with that.
So after, who knows how many turns of grinding away here, it looks like Jayce is actually going to get out from under. Gideon down.
Jonathan Salem and Todd Kittel.
Boom.
Please come see us at the stage now. Thank you.
That was a slog. And letting Jayce get that Moorland Haunt trigger is a big deal because otherwise we would have been just +2 and dealing 2 back and forth at each other.
He lays a Memnite. Not sure if that does anything. Granted, if a Day of Judgment happens, there's still that waiting in the wings of the shrine.
Right.
I think it's pretty likely that we're going to see JC Morrison activate his shrine at the end of the turn.
I believe some of the feeds.
Timely.
I believe some comments in the feed say that they believe it's pronounced Jayce, which I'm willing to believe, and it's more awesome that way anyway. So I'm happy with Jayce.
Jayce kills Gideon. Doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
The totals are 24-24.
Yeah.
Game 3 here. Esper Control facing off against Tempered Steel. Tempered Steel out of cards in hand. No Moorland Haunt in play, and is cracking.
All right, he's moving in here. He's getting rid of that shrine. So now it's Ryan needs a big draw. He doesn't have a ton of time.
11 mirror.
11. Pretty good deal for the 5 mana.
Here they come. Blocks Memnite with the Lion. 3 soldiers. That means a grand total of 11 damage is coming through. Ryan drops down to 13. And why did his... Okay, hang on one second. Is there some reason why his lion died? His cat?
I mean, he's packing them up.
Okay. 2 draws that he had left there, but
Yep. So Jayce Morrison wins 2 games to 1. Surprising amount of tempered steel we've run into so far, given how kind of under the radar the deck's been for a little bit after its blow up at Worlds and then subsequent, just complete drop off the radar.
one of the things about that Worlds situation, right? I forget what Luis Scott Vargas lost to, but